next level.
Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Coach Tiffany Parra, Editor-in-Chief of Phoenix Fitness Fanatics Magazine, elevating your mind, body, and spirit. Today, we are taking center stage on the Own It publishing platform with one of our amazing contributing writers. This is our Authors Network Corner, where we celebrate authors out there. We celebrate authors that are published. We celebrate authors that are up and coming. We celebrate seasoned authors. This woman right here has an amazing book that she just came out with, and we're going to talk to her a little bit about that. So let me bring her on in. Hey, what's going on, Stephanie?
Hey,
How are you?
Great.
Oh, so good to have you on the show. So good to have you as part of the Phoenix Fitness Fanatics family. I am so excited to share what you got going on. But first off, let's just introduce yourself, please, to those who have not had the pleasure of meeting you or seeing you yet. Just give them a little bit about who you are, where you're from, a little bit about what you do.
Sure. My name is Stephanie Malench. I am a writer, author, business owner from outside St. Louis, Missouri. I have two companies, Write by Steph, which is a full-service professional business writing and editing agency, where I help others clean up their resume to get the job that they have not been able to get. I help business owners write their blogs for their website so that they stay Google relevant and at the top of everyone's minds. And I edit books for other fellow authors, as well as for college students that are struggling to get those grades in English, or maybe they just came to the United States to study and they're learning English for the first time. So I can help them clean up and learn English at the same time. I'm also a publisher. I publish the Collinsville Daily News digital newspaper here in the St. Louis area. It has a Hispanic page also. And I'm also an author, and I just published my third book. The first two books were the ABCs of Living Independently When You Are Older or Frail. The second book was The Ultimate Beginner's Guide to Clean Living. And now I just last week released another #1 new release, AI in Writing, Dangers to Journalists and Creative Writers.
Nice. I love it. Such a resource, y'all. Okay, just right there. Any authors out there, if you are looking for an editor, a publisher, she's got you. So let's talk, but before we dive into this, because you just said a whole lot, Stephanie, about what you do. So you juggle a lot. How do you find balance, and what does self-care look like for you? Because it's a lot. I mean, you're an owner of a newspaper, which that's huge. And then having, your own business that you're running, and, having clients that you're dealing with, and then, life, right? I mean, you're also a contributing writer. So yeah, what does relaxation and self-care look like for you, Stephanie?
My favorite form of relaxation is sleep. That is my hobby. Once I get through everything I have to get through for a day, it's bedtime. Every now and then, like when I was trying to get my book out last week, I will push the midnight or the 1:30 a.m. oil once in a while, but I make up for it the next day. I love my massages. I was able to go get a massage for the first time in 6 months yesterday, and it felt wonderful. I slept like a rock from it. And just prioritizing. My best friend has 5 businesses, so I'm really just a slacker. And so I asked him once, I'm like, how do you prioritize which business you're going to work on each day? He's like, whichever one has the biggest fires to put out. And so I've kind of taken that as my theme. I don't have to be everywhere at all times, and whatever's calling my attention, that's what's going to get my attention.
Oh, I love it. I love it. That's just finding that balance, y'all. 5 businesses. Wow. See, look, I think I'm slacking too, I guess. Okay. Wow. So tell us, let's dive in. Tell us about your book, AI and Writing Dangers to Journalists and Creative Writers.
Well, AI has actually been around longer than we thought. When I started researching this book over a year ago, I'm like, oh my gosh, that they were planting these seeds back in the 1950s, and even some of the very most rudimentary elements of it back before we even had computers in the 1800s. I mean, it's amazing how far back it goes. And I think part of the danger of AI is that it dropped fast on us being available to the masses. um, I haven't decided if the M is silent on that one yet or not, but it's definitely, it was something that, as over the last 4 years, I feel like humans have become lazier, and anything
Mhm.
along that they think is going to make their life easier, they're going to latch onto. People don't go out grocery shopping or anything anymore. They have everything delivered. Uh, they have their robots, their little Alexas and different things in their home answer their questions for them, asking them what the weather is. Believe it or not, is actually a form of AI also. And when you use Alexa in your home, you are training it to train all the different AI systems. It's really scary.
Wow.
And again, the AI, it's training us that, oh, I don't feel like writing this. Chat GPT, write this email for me, and people will just skim it over real quick and send it off. I have received emails from people that they had Chat GPT write it and they had prices backwards. They were having a sale where their book that's regularly $4.95 was on sale for $5.95 when it was supposed to be, or their seminar, not a book. Um, and it's like, really? And the seminar was going to run from 2 a.m. to 4 p.m. Really? It's People are just getting careless. And as a fitness magazine, we all know the brain is a muscle. And if you don't
Absolutely.
use your brain, it's going to get atrophied, and it's not going to work when you need it to. And that's going to bring on the scary stuff like Alzheimer's and dementias. So,
Right, right. And you know what? It's good that you actually hit that point too, because we have an influx of, Alzheimer's and dementia. And I know there's a lot of other, factors out there, but we do have to look at this as a factor because, as you said, I mean, we don't even dial our phones anymore. I mean, I asked someone the other day if they would be able to, write down 10 phone numbers of 10, family members or close friends. And they weren't able to do it, and I could barely do it. I mean, I can get to about 10, and then it's like, but remember back in the day, before we had, these different technologies, we used to have to remember, the phone numbers and things like that. And I mean, cell phones, yes, all these different technologies, it makes life a little bit easier, but how easy do we really want it? Right? I mean, honestly, do we want to look like, I mean, it reminds me of us heading towards, Wally. Like when my son was little, he loved Wally. And I remember, see all the people were in those chairs, right? And they did nothing. Everything was done for them. So we definitely do not want, that to happen. I mean, especially you mentioned, in another show that we did that there's kids that are using AI for writing term papers, right? And the parents don't even know.
nope.
That's just that's
38% of students are using Chat GPT to write their papers, and 70 some percent of their parents don't know it. And the teachers are struggling with it because we want to be all inclusive and have these Chromebooks and everything in the schools connected to the internet, and we're giving them these devices to go home. But unsupervised, they are, in my opinion, a Chromebook in the hands of a child unsupervised is just as dangerous as an unlocked gun.
no, that you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. unless you have, again, those parental, parameters set, they're open to so many different things. So, oh my gosh. So what inspired you to write on this topic?
I was inspired to write on this. I guess it was about 2 years ago when ChatGPT was launched. It was launched in November of 22. And I had just finally gotten one of my dream clients of writing for an SEO company, doing copywriting, blogs, landing pages for websites. And I hadn't been doing it 2 months when ChatGPT came out. And so I asked the owner of this company when we were at a meeting, I'm like, am I going to lose my job? Are you going to replace me with ChatGPT? He's like, no. He goes, I know how that writing looks, and I don't want any of my clients to be portrayed that way. So I'm going to keep you forever as long as you're willing to work for me. And I noticed that I was having a lot of time getting other clients on board with me, the individual business owners that do their own web pages, because they're like, oh, I'll just use Chat GPT for that. And I'm like, it's not going to be as good. You're not going to get the results you think you're going to get. Yeah, you may be spending less money, maybe even no money, but you get out what you put in.
That's right.
And so I started tracking it, and then I'm in a few author groups locally. And some of the authors are like, oh yeah, I build my characters in Chat GPT, or I asked Chat GPT to help me write this scene for a chapter. And I'm like, ooh, that doesn't sound good. And then it's been coming out recently that anything you put into Chat GPT, you no longer can have copyright protection for it. So all of these authors that are using Chat GPT to help them with their stories, they shouldn't be copywriting them. Chat GPT is also engaging in copyright infringement against most writers that have anything online, because that's how the machines learn. It's called machine learning because it's a machine being trained to act like a human and to write like a human and think like a human. And even Mid-Journey that people use to make their covers of their books and all, if you use that on your book, technically your book shouldn't be able to be copyrighted, because that's not a real artist that made your cover. Artists around the world are losing their jobs, especially graphic artists, because people are using things like Mid-Journey to create their illustrations or create art and selling it in galleries. And if you don't want to do the art, then find a different career. Don't do something that's taking away from people that are working hard and need this money to make a living and support their families.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think these tools that are out there, you can utilize them when it comes to maybe, okay, let me figure out how to structure something, but you're going to use your own words. You have to learn the balance, right? In how to utilize these tools that are, out there for us. And I think that people are just, definitely taking full advantage, of it, and really need to, do your research, make sure that you are, really looking into the images and, the words that you are using, because you do not want to be hit with a lawsuit because of, something that really could have been prohibited if you just decided to go ahead and, use your own thoughts, right? So Steph, it is kind of a touchy, subject, right? With some, right? Because people love this stuff that's going on. So what do you feel was the biggest challenge in getting this book out?
The biggest challenge was actually trying to find the most up-to-date information. I mean, I've been working on this book for a year. I knew I wanted to keep it short because I don't want to overwhelm people. It's something that I know I'm going to have to probably be doing updates on at least once a year, figuring out how to make it simple enough, but get the point across that this is a real concern. That was the hardest part, was getting it the right up-to-date information and making it stick. Yeah. I remember I went to a conference this summer, and one of the panelists, this is what really scared me, and that's why the title is what it is. She's a prominent newspaper reporter in our area, and a offshore AI newspaper scraped her article from a legitimate major publishing newspaper and took it, and it made people in the article say things that they didn't say, and it misattributed things, and people were upset. She didn't understand why people were so upset with her article. She's like, I didn't do anything wrong. And she reached out to some of the people she had interviewed, and they sent her the copy. It wasn't her story. It was from another publishing house that has actually been shut down because they did this all over the world. They had the AI bots writing and publishing 600 articles a day just by scraping content. And newspapers are where we're supposed to be getting facts from. This is our politics. This is our world. This is our environment. You can't be messing with those topics with people because, again, we're losing our training of our brains. And so we just believe whatever is thrown in front of us.
Right. And that's really attributing to a lot of the way that the climate is today, as well, because people are just putting whatever out there. So go to trusted sources, people. Make sure you
double check and check multiple trusted sources.
Yes, absolutely. Check and check some more. You want to do your fact checking, especially in today's time, because you really you don't know sometimes. So, oh my goodness. Well, I'm glad that you were able to bring this out and bring this stuff to light, Stephanie, because, there are people, again, that really just don't know, and we don't know what we don't know. So you all want to definitely tap into getting AI and writing dangers to journalists and creative writers, especially those of you that are, authors and, reporters and, those creatives out there that are putting this, our literary gifts to work. You do not want to be stopped in your tracks because you're taking the easy way out. So, tap into people like Stephanie, who can do the editing for you. And they, she can already make things easier for you, right? You just don't make it so easy that you're not doing anything. So, Steph, I know there's a lot of people out there that are, wanting to, maybe write their story. They have a topic that maybe they're kind of, I don't know, if I should put it out there. What's some words of wisdom, words of encouragement that you can give them to just kind of help them to push through and to just get it out there?
Start with what you can, just a basic outline, like, what topics do you want to cover? What order do they make sense in? Do you want to follow a chronological outline where you start far back and then work your way up to the present? Or do you want to do themes, like subsections of a topic, depending on whether you're talking about your life or if you're talking about a process? What order are things being done in? And don't be afraid to make mistakes. I would rather someone give me something that is absolutely atrociously written, but I can tell what they want to say, and then I just clean it up. I remember the first dissertation I edited, he had a fear of writing, like people have fears of speaking. And it was a 100-page sentence. And it had, the only way I could tell where some of the sentences ended was from the end note. And I sent it back to him. And he realized that he hadn't put the time into it. So I sent it back to him. I didn't hear from him for 4 months. Wow. He put his mind to it. And 4 months later, I had 3 almost perfect chapters. I just had to do minor editing. And then we worked on the last 2 together. And then I was at his mock defense of his PhD, and he passed with flying colors. So he referred me to all of his other friends that were in his PhD program, and now he's a professor at a local college, and so he has sent his students to me.
Oh, that's awesome. That is so awesome. Well, look, y'all, get your work out there. Get it out there. It does not matter how you feel that it sounds. Just write it. dump it all out, send it to Steph, and she'll help you put it all together, because your story is not your story. It's someone else's story. They really need to hear about your journey, because they may be struggling in some of the same things that you've been struggling in. And they just need to hear how to get to the other side and how you were able to, overcome. So, Steph, I just want to congratulate you, on becoming bestseller on the AI and Writing Dangers to Journalists and Creative Writers. You have been on the #1 best-selling list there for a few days now. I mean, because it dropped a few days, and that's very hard when it comes to Amazon bestsellers. So keep up the good work. And everybody, if you look on the ticker here that has the link for you guys to go and pick up this ebook, you guys can get it on Amazon. And Steph, for those that want to get in contact with you, how can they connect with you so they can maybe work with you as well?
Yes, my email is writebysteph@gmail.com. You can also book me on my website for a virtual or in-person meeting, depending on where you are, and that's just writebysteph.com.
Awesome. So writebysteph.com, everybody. So I want to thank you all for joining us today. Those of you who joined us live, those of you that are going to be watching the replay, definitely tap into this book and tune in to more of our Authors Network. We have so many amazing authors in our contributing writer team. They have some awesome resources for you all. So if you have not subscribed to Phoenix Fitness Fanatics Magazine, definitely subscribe. Go to Phoenix Fitness Fanatics Mag 2021.com and you can subscribe there. You can hear stories from Steph. You can also get some other resources in there as well. So we want to thank you so much for joining us today, and we will see you next time. Take care, everybody.
To the next level.